Time is one of your most valuable resources when you are conducting a research, and your proposal timeline is where you show how you plan on using it. In this video, I'm going to show you how to structure your time frame, break down your research into phases, and create a Gantt chart or a table that visually communicates that plan. My name is Lerato Kanumsa of All Things Academia, where we explore and explain all things in the academic world. The time frame of your research proposal outlines how long your research is going to take, and it breaks down your research into manageable phases. This is where you show your reviewers that your research is well planned, realistic, and achievable within the period that you have been given. Lovelies, your timeline is not just about deadlines, but it's about showing that you have thought through every step of the research process. So the purpose of this section is to demonstrate that you have carefully considered the scope of the research and have allocated sufficient time for each stage. This reassures your review committee or funders that you are indeed able to complete the project within the given time frame. Every research has key phases. You need to break those key phases down so that you stay on track and you are able to communicate your plan clearly. Here are the phases to include in the breakdown. Time for writing, submission, and approval of your proposal. Allocate time for collecting and reviewing relevant literature. Time for preparing and submitting your ethics application, as well as awaiting for approval. Include participant recruitment and the actual collection process, for example, surveys, interviews, or experiments. Time for organizing, coding, and analyzing your data. Break this into drafting, revising, and finalizing your thesis or report. For a 1-year project, I allocate 2 months for a literature review, 1 month for ethical clearance, 3 months for data collection, 2 months for data analysis, and 4 months for writing and revision. So lovelies, you really need to be specific about how much time each phase will take, because reviewers really need to see that your plan is realistic. Here are some few tips for a realistic time frame. For a literature review, allocate sufficient time to find, read, and analyze resources. For data collection, consider delays like participant recruitment or technical issues. In data analysis, be honest about how long it will take to process your data, especially if you're using new methods or software. While writing and revising, factor in time for feedback from supervisor or collaborators. If you know that the ethical clearance process in your institution takes around a month, then allocate a month and 2 weeks extra in case there's delays. Similarly, if you've allocated 4 months for your writing period, you need to consider that it includes supervision feedback. A clear visual like a Gantt chart or a table can make it easier for your reviewers to understand your time frame. A Gantt chart is a timeline where each phase of your research is represented by a bar, whereas a table has columns and rows to show what falls where. This video is not about these visuals, but I will take some time to create a video that is showing you step by step how to create a Gantt chart for your time frame. So be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell so that you are notified when I upload that video. For the purpose of this video, here is a Gantt chart that I've created for my PhD while I was applying for an IRTG scholarship. And this is the timeline in a table form that I used to apply for my PhD in the institution that I am in, the best university ever, University of KwaZulu-Natal. You don't just want to tell the reviewers this is the time period you're going to take to do a certain task, but you also want to justify the time that you are taking. So for example, in data collection, you can say that you are taking 3 months because you're going to be doing interviews and you'll be engaging with 15 participants, and that might take a long time since you might be meeting 1 or 2 a day. In this phase, you want to include that you've considered the time it will take you to transcribe those interviews and interpret them. And for the writing phase, you can say that you've given it 4 months because you've considered the fact that you'll be going back and forth with your supervisors and you want to take enough time to welcome and engage that feedback. So a well-structured time frame is not just a schedule, but it is a roadmap that guides you in doing your research, but also shows your reviewers that you know what you are doing and you've considered the time that it will take to do that research. Breaking your research into phases, allocating realistic time frames for each phase, representing it visually, and justifying your choices makes for a good proposal timeline. And now that you've got a good timeline for a project, the next thing that is left to do is creating the summary of chapters or the chapter plan for your thesis. So click the video that is appearing on on your screen right now, because that is the video that is going to show you how to do exactly that, as I project to you love and grace in a way of 2 Corinthians 13 verse 14. What are you waiting for? Click away and don't forget to subscribe.